Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Kitty Hawk Town Council meeting to order. It's Monday, August 5th, 2024, 6 o'clock p.m. in the Smith Meeting Room. Thank you all for being here on what could be a nasty evening. It's already started that way, but thank you all for being here, those of you in person and those of you watching at home. If you would, if you're able to stand, join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Council, I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda, but first I need to amend the agenda, adding item 10C, which is a grant for a boardwalk in the North Carolina Department of Parks and Recreation. Can I get a motion to approve the amended agenda, please?
So moved.
Motion made by David. Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Introduction of new time staff member, Chief Palkowitz. Amy, would you come up, please?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, town manager, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here to introduce our newest police employee, Amy Corley. Amy comes to us from Fauquier, Virginia, where she worked for the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, and then she worked for the Sheriff's Department there. Has a previous history in doing some records. She is our administrative records technician now. She just started with us probably about, what, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, coming up. Amy has resided here for about 4 years now, has a husband, Michael, and 2 small children, and we are very ecstatic to get her here. You know, coming in and trying to replace somebody like Sharon Davenport, who retired after 28 years, is a mountainous task. But she is well up to the challenge, and she has already started to hit the ground running. As we try to reorganize and update and upgrade a lot of our systems and processes we have in place. So it is my pleasure to introduce Amy to everybody here.
Thank you, Chief. Welcome, Amy. Amy, you've got some big shoes to fill, but I understand you are making great efforts towards that goal, so thank you. Thank you for being here. Public comment. Lauren, do we have anyone signed up for public comment, please?
Yes, Mayor. We have 3 people, and Denise Deacon is first.
Come on up, Ms. Deacon. How are you, Denise?
Sorry. I'm good. How are you? Greetings. My name is Denise Deacon. I'm a resident of Kitty Hawk. My comments regard the proposed ADU text amendment. I emailed a more detailed version of my thoughts against the proposal to town council members about a week ago, and I respectfully ask you to consider this shorter version as well. It appears the amendment you are considering is aimed at curbing speeding, noise, and short-term rental woes on the applicant's street. I would ask that you please explain what exactly the proposed requirement of having a long-term renter on site does to solve the perceived problem. Should the long-term renter actually approach short-term renters when traffic laws and noise ordinances are not being adhered to? Isn't that a job for law enforcement? As the town is actually considering using this as a way to alleviate short-term renter speeding and noise complaints, why target only those properties with separate living areas? Why not target all short-term? A street could be completely lined with large, boisterous, multi-bedroom short-term rentals with no property owner ever required to be on site. Yet the owner with a small garage apartment, which complies with the same lot density requirements, would have to live there in order to rent it out short-term under this proposal. Last but not least, the wording of this amendment indicates that the owner, or long-term renter, is required to reside there even if the ADU is empty. Quote, accessory dwelling units located in the DR1 district shall have a long-term tenant or owner residing in the dwelling on the subject property. There is no mention made of whether the ADU space is even occupied or not. I request that this amendment not be approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you very much. And for everyone's information, we will be discussing this matter later tonight.
And Mayor, for clarity for everyone, so we don't cut anybody off, are we going, since it's on old business and not under public hearing, are we reopening for public comment during the discussion of the
I
ADU?
asked that question of Rob, and we decided to address it during this public comment.
That's how it generally operates, so I just wanted everyone to know out there, if you want to speak about ADUs.
And not go
This
back
is-
into public hearing.
Correct.
Correct.
So this would be the time. I heard Gray say something about maybe signing up wrong, so I didn't want anybody to be out in the
All right, next, please.
Next, we have Grace Anwell.
Okay, and I forgot to mention, please limit your comments to 3 minutes, as we always do. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good evening. You guys have seen me before. Hope y'all are doing good. I'm Grace Anwell, and I am now the owner of 3850 North Shore Road, which is in the VR1 zoning district. I'm up here tonight to speak about the accessory dwelling unit proposed again. I recognize you guys tabled it last time. I wanted to bring up a few more points this evening. A couple of those points is start again with the fact that natural economy will occur with long-term and short-term rentals. So we talked about that. We talked about how wonderful short-term rentals are for our economy. This language that's been described, to me, it sounds like another way of a short-term rental restriction. And as a local realtor, to me, I'm not an attorney, but to me, that's a material fact. If I show a property that is in the Croton condominiums in Manio and the waterfront condos condominium complex in Manio, there is a short-term rental restriction on those properties, meaning that you are not allowed to rent them short-term at all. I have to disclose that to my clients as I'm showing the property because it restricts the amount of things they can do with the property. Now, another topic. In my opinion, taking away, or excuse me, creating a new law that restricts, because right now we don't have a restriction against it. Creating a new law that restricts it devalues my property. It devalues the ability to rent short-term on my property. If I have 2 units that are legally permitted, or right now I have 1 unit on my property. Right now when I bought that property, I'm allowed to build an accessory dwelling unit as current zoning allows me within the confines of permits and doing it the right way. I'm then allowed to short-term rent that property. If you take that ability away from me to do that in the future, you're devaluing my property and taking away my personal property rights. To me, that is not okay. I'm not okay with that. And I don't think, the other thing is, okay, so back to devaluing property. Sorry, I got off topic. I thought I had 5 minutes, I'm sorry. Okay, so to me that devalues the property. And so I feel that and this devaluation of property across the VR1 zoning district is based off of 1 or 2 people's complaints. I don't feel that impacting that many people on what they can do with their property is okay due to 1 or 2 persons' complaints. And I just ask, as I finalize this a little quicker, is that when you guys think about what you're going to do tonight, you think about the masses. You don't think about just me. You don't think about just one of the people that have put in the complaints. You think about everybody, because that is what you're here to do. We put you in this place to think about everyone and to think about the precedents you're setting for now and in the future. Because the future generation, if you put this into place, will have to handle the next proposal from different zoning districts that may actually, anyways, thank you guys. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Anyone else signed up, Lauren?
Yes, sir. Ralph Buxton.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Buxton, and I'm the chairman of the Planning Committee for the 150th anniversary of the U.S. Life Saving Service on the coast of North Carolina. Yes, it was 1874 when the first 7 stations were built here on the coast of North Carolina. Kitty Hawk was one of those stations, the first 7, which eventually turned out into 29 stations along the coast by 1905. I gave you all some handouts there that you hope you'll take home to your kids or grandkids, and because they're good educational tools, tell you a little more about the heritage of this area. Kitty Hawk, we've got a big celebration planned, but we've also got things going on this summer down at Chickamaucomico. Chickamaucomico is the sponsor of this event. And we hope you'll come down sometime to see the beach apparatus drill every Thursday. We've also had the Park Service open up Little Kennekeet for tours. We're doing those every couple of weeks now, and that's been very successful. And we'll be doing a formal event on October 12th and 13th. And you all, of course, know about this because you're considering a proclamation tonight. And I'm going to thank you in advance for that proclamation, and I really appreciate your support. It's been wonderful working with Melody on that. I want just going back also to 1874 and Kitty Hawk Station. You have a very rich history here in Kitty Hawk. I don't think commonly known, but the 1874 Kitty Hawk Station was the first station that was manned year-round. The other stations were only manned seasonally in the wintertime, the worst season. But the Kitty Hawk Station had a Signal Corps officer there who was the weatherman and the telegraph operator. And he had to be there year-round. And when the Huron, USS Huron, wrecked in Nag's Head, none of the stations were open, including the Nag's Head station. It was a huge catastrophe. Nobody could react. But they got word back to Kitty Hawk and to the telegraph office and had them wire for help from Norfolk, which arrived the next day for assistance. So that would seem to be something that could be recognized, and I hope that perhaps you all will consider doing some kind of marker on the site. We haven't been able to get the state to do that. We hope that maybe something you all would consider. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jasper, do me a favor and close that door, please. We've got some distractions out there. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else signed up, Lauren?
That's all I have signed up for public comment.
Anyone else is here? That's fine. Come on up. No, that's fine. Come on
Mayor
up.
Harris, council members. My name is Mary Ellen Balance. I'm running for county commissioner to represent Hatteras Island. And so I'm kind of doing my homework and wanted to get out to the town meetings and just to introduce myself. I have been a member of the Hatteras community. I live in the village for 26 years. I currently serve on the Board of Education. I'm finishing my 8th year with them, and wife of a commercial fisherman, but very interested in continuing to support and help the people of Dare County. So just wanted to come and say hello. I'm really excited. Your agenda looks very interesting. I'm super excited about that. I'm big on policy with the school board and trying to figure all this out, and I just wanted to come and introduce myself. So thank you for giving me a moment to talk, and I have, since he went a little over, I'll go a little under. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And I look forward to an opportunity to work with you guys.
Thank you. Keep in mind, folks, this is not a political forum. This is this is to conduct town's business. Anyone else wish to speak tonight at public comment about any topic other than politics? Okay, let the record show no one else chose to speak. Council, I need a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Motion made by David, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Very good. We had no items removed from the consent agenda. Item 8A, zoning text amendment, minimum warehouse and PCD. Hold on just a minute. Can I get a motion to go into public hearing, please?
So moved.
Motion made by David, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are in public hearing. Go ahead, Rob, thank you.
All right. As you mentioned, this is a text amendment regarding mini warehouses. They're currently permitted as a special use permit in the planned commercial overlay districts. The one before you tonight deals with the maximum building size. Our ordinance right now in BC1 and BC1 district caps any tenant or commercial use at 25,000 square feet, and BC2 is capped at 40,000 square feet. You can see the proposed language in the staff report would change that to stating buildings shall consist of a total building footprint dedicated to mini warehouse not to exceed 40,000 square feet. Where multi-story buildings are utilized, the total floor area allowed on the parcel shall not exceed 40,000 square feet times the number of floors constructed. The language is only proposed for that special use language in the PCD. As it's written, you know, our height maximum is 35 feet, so I guess the tallest building you're looking at is 3 stories, so it could conceivably permit a mini warehouse building up to 120,000 square foot size. I printed off in the packets the image showing where all of our PCDs are located. I was going to put it on the overhead, but it looks like we got some technical issues going on. The planning board at their June 27th meeting unanimously recommended approval of the proposed text amendment. And you can see in the land use plan, goal number 3 is to reinforce Kitty Hawk's unique coastal identity and sense of community through high quality design and protection of natural and cultural resources. Policy 3.2 is to encourage commercial development at appropriate scales in areas zoned for commercial, BC and BC districts. Encouraging larger scale commercial development to be located along 158. The applicant is on hand. If you have any questions for them, if you'd like to add anything, I'll take any questions from you as well. Go get that up there.
Council, any questions for Rob? I do for the applicant when he comes up. No questions for Rob?
Not sure I got a black background there, but.
Very good.
Hi. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council and staff. My name is Gordon Cobb Jr. Address is 3920 Magazine Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. I know that New Orleans sounds like a far way away from here, but the Outer Banks is a special place for me. I lived here and worked here. The summer after I graduated from high school, my wife's from Eatonton, and we vacationed here for 2 weeks during the summer, which actually overlapped with this, which was very convenient. I was the developer of the Publix down the street, and we're looking forward to hopefully doing another project in y'all's community. If we receive approval this evening, my partners and I are looking at investing approximately $17 million into this project. From our past experience, a project of this size will employ about 150 people during construction. Storage is a very low impact use, but obviously generates a fair amount of taxes and so forth. But I appreciate your time this evening and happy to answer any questions you might have for me.
Council, any questions for Mr. Cobb? All right. Come on up, Mr. Goodrich. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Would you like to speak?
Gordon has, he's married to a local girl from Eatonton, as he said, and what else, his daughter that here on vacation. So, I'm just here to answer questions. I think the package is very thorough and a lot of good job.
Okay. Could you step up to the microphone, please, sir, so make sure. I've got a question, Mr. Goodrich.
So,
What happened to the houses you were going to build on that piece of property years ago?
I tried. I offered the property to the town department. To Dare County, I offered it to Coastal Affordable Housing. I offered it to Ward Cooper. Ward Cooper went under contract. And y'all know the rest of the story. Ward Cooper said they couldn't do it. So they, I did everything I could to build some housing there. And quite frankly, given the real estate market today, the cost of land, the cost of construction, 6% interest rate, I think we're going to be hard pressed to ever get anybody to come to Dare County. and invest that kind of money without getting a decent return. We're in no man's land right now with housing.
Thank you, sir. Good answer. Any questions for Mr. Goodrich, folks? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Cobb, Mr.
Thank you very
Goodrich.
much.
Thank you.
I just want to note also that the special use permit that's on the agenda tonight for public hearing also, I guess it's kind of dependent on the text amendment. If the text amendment fails, then the building size that's proposed for the special use permit wouldn't be compliant.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Council, any further business during public hearing? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go back in the regular session, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Charlotte. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, we are back in regular session. Council? Any thoughts? Because I have a couple.
I did too.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
We've just spent a great deal of money to update our land use plan. And Mr. Goodrich, you've been a regular customer here. We've seen you quite often, and you've always been respectful and kind, and I appreciate that. But we made an exception to call a mini warehouse. We had great discussion about that, to include a mini warehouse on Kitty Hawk Road. And the land use plan just does not seem to support a huge warehouse with load and dock and all that sort of thing. And I just can't get behind that. And for that reason, I am a no.
Thank you, Charlotte. Jeff?
Just waiting.
Okay. I agree with Charlotte wholeheartedly. I cannot, once I saw this and I said, nope, I cannot support this project. And I will not vote for it tonight. Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that too. That's 3 times the size of what's currently allowed. That's asking a lot.
Thank you, David.
I don't really have a comment. I mean, rather than just denying something, is there a way to rework it or bring it down? Does it not work to bring it back down? I mean, what do we want to see there?
We reworked it to mini warehouse.
Yeah, we've already been there twice.
I understand, but what do we want to see there?
Some houses?
Houses, yeah, and the shops that we were told about, and several other things that we've modified. So, have you got any suggestions how we can modify it?
Nope, I just asked a question.
Housing.
Well,
Yeah.
Yep. Jeff?
Well, I mean, I do think whether it's a warehouse or houses, that, it's really not up to me. I just think that that's a really large building for that particular area, with the wetlands and everything surrounding it. And I just think that it's a very large building for that piece of property.
Agreed. We're out of public hearing, Mr. Goodrich, but did you have anything to add?
Well, from what I'm hearing, you're against approving this tonight.
Yes, sir.
Can you table it?
No, sir.
Well,
We're ready to vote on it tonight.
I don't know what to say. I think it's an excellent use for the property. I really do.
Okay.
And, we've tried everything we can to build housing in Dare County, nobody's done it yet. My partners and I all built 20 houses behind Walgreens and Double Hills, and we've used the system of those houses for year-round mechanical work. Each different pieces of land have different uses in different locations. And this is a better use from this location than houses, I think. I don't know that it's, it's surrounded by the state of North Carolina, so that's open space. And the other neighbors are 7-Eleven and the cabinet shop and the car mechanic shop, and then North Carolina Power. I don't see it being that objectionable in my opinion, but I'm not a councilman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Goodrich. And I agree with Charlotte earlier, it's always good to see you. Okay, council, entertain a motion. If not, I'll make it.
I move to deny the proposed text amendment to Section 42-414B4. Town council finds that this proposal is inconsistent with the town's adopted land use plan, and that's it.
Thank you, Charlotte. Get a second?
Second.
Second by Dylan. Any further discussion? All in favor with the denial, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we've got 4 in favor of denial and 1 opposed to the denial. Thank you. So Casey, item 8C, we're not going to hear, correct?
Yeah, I believe, Rob, as he said, it's superfluous at this point because the property wouldn't be in compliance if we approved the actual special use being
Correct.
presented.
Correct, thank you. Okay, item 8B, zoning text amendment for definitions. Council, I need a motion to go back into public hearing, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Charlotte, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we are in public hearing. Go ahead, Rob.
All right, this one, proposed amendments to section 42-1, as well as some language on the residential zones and commercial zones, dealing with lot coverage and permeable pavement. You can see in the staff report, the definition there of lot coverage, mainly trying to kind of simplify a little bit, and specifying that the approved driveways are going to be counted or counted as lot coverage. Currently, in practice, we've been having the survey notate the driveway, no improvement on the lot, and that's counting against properties as lot coverage, whether it's natural or gravel or concrete. It's all looked at the same on the survey. So this would clarify that we're just talking about the improved driveways. If you want to keep it natural, it's not going to count against you as lot coverage. It also identifies a couple of materials that would be, if approved, would be exempted from lot coverage calculations. That mean artificial turf and plastic turf reinforcing grids. There's a couple of things that aren't really, well, they haven't been mentioned in the definition before. It's been kind of a, just a judgment call by staff whether to count like artificial turf or not. So I figured it'd be good to actually put it in there so there's no room for objectivity or subjectivity. The one caveat with that is that it would have to be, the materials and construction methods would have to be certified by a state licensed engineer that would be 100% pervious and would remain so through the life of installation. So if at any point it ever failed and started acting impervious, and we got a complaint in about it, then they'd have to replace it with more permeable material. The second one listed in there is uncovered open slatted decks that allow water to penetrate through to open pervious material. Would be exempt from lot coverage calculations. There are a couple other towns in the area that look at it this way. This is also in line with how the state stormwater permit does it. And when we had our text amendment a year or two ago about the pool water, surface water being excluded from lot coverage calculations, one of the public comments from there was to look at this, so it would bring it all in line. One, I guess, concern with allowing that I can envision happening would be, new construction, house gets built, they have their open deck, and it's natural underneath, and then, a month after they get their CO, they go in and pave it, there's a little patio down there, and You know, I guess it would go as any other kind of enforcement issue. If we got a complaint about it, we'd go out and tell them we got to pull it out. But there's always, like I mentioned to Councilman Tillett earlier, there's always people that are going to ask for forgiveness later. I'll note that this is a staff-initiated text amendment, and you know, if council wants to, if approved part of it, you know, it's not going to hurt my feelings if some of it gets taken out or what have you. And then the third one being the gravel or loose stone being used for walkways, patios, or landscaping is exempt from lot coverage calculations. That one is another one we've kind of been doing in practice, although it's not specifically mentioned in the ordinance. I thought it would be good to define it. Like I talked about the stone around the house or any kind of landscaping rock. And Councilman Tillett did catch an error in the proposal. The bottom of that first page, the word coverage is not supposed to be struck through. So it would be, the area being struck out would be without reduction for built upon area credits. Then after that, the part dealing with the permeable pavement materials that meets that definition that's included in the staff report of the permeable pavement. For residential zones, it would, so the maximum lot coverage is still going to be 30%. However, the maximum lot coverage physical area of 38%, provided that any additional or any lot coverage physical area in excess of 30% is comprised of permeable pavement. And then there's language in there stating that, you know, if the permeable pavement fails, that it would have to be replaced with permeable material. That is kind of in line with what we already allow in our commercial zones. That was adopted in 2018, I believe it was. The commercial zones allows up to 72% with the permeable material. So I guess the idea, the thought behind bringing this forward is, I mean, you can see in the past few weeks how many heavy and frequent rainfalls we've been getting, to try to encourage property owners, residential property owners to have a way to do more that will allow more water infiltration on their lot rather than just, you know, paving their entire driveway and shutting it off. You know, I was getting phone calls from the neighbors once you get these heavy rains that they're getting flooded by their neighbors. So I figure if we can do something to encourage that property owner to use materials that will allow more infiltration on their site, I think we'd be better off. Planning board, they recommended approval unanimously at their June 27th meeting for this. And let's see, in the Cameron land use plan, some relevant policies and goals in it. Policy 2.4 requires stormwater management systems and new development that mimic pre-development runoff conditions. This wouldn't be requiring anything, but related to stormwater management. Consider additional incentives for green stormwater infrastructure, including pervious pavement, bioswales, rain gardens, and green roofs. Policy 3.1, manage land use and development to minimize primary and secondary impacts on resources and existing residents through standards for development. Policy 3.4, encourage residential that fits Kitty character, maintain zoning regulations that protect the character of Kitty neighborhoods. With that, I will turn it over to the council for any questions.
Rob, again, this was initiated by you, correct?
Yes.
Some more of your cleaning up that you're trying to do?
Chip away.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And Rob, to avoid just any confusion at the time of motion, in the event council wants to approve as presented, your version of presented would have included the word coverage that you were speaking about earlier? Yes. Okay. So just for the record, coverage, as Dylan pointed out to Rob intended on that being within there. So if you guys approve it as presented, the word coverage will be included at the bottom of the first paragraph under definition of lot coverage physical area.
Thank you. Thank you. Council, any questions for Rob?
Rob, are you comfortable with the deck, slatted deck? Or is that manageable for you?
Yeah, I mean, if I guess if I wasn't comfortable with it, I probably would put it in there. I think there is some cause, I know happen, but.
The only reason I mention it is you had the example of, a little later, you go back over there and it's a concrete deck. And so I just want to be sure you're comfortable with that wording.
Yeah, I mean, it's bound to happen, but if it does, it would be treated like any other code enforcement issue. If we get a call and complaint about it, then code enforcement will take a look and start issuing the letter telling they have to pull it out and get back in compliance.
And we could remove that too, if we felt that better fit, remove open slotted deck from the exemption, if council decided.
You're also, I mean, you're going to be, there's more steps you have to take. You're going to get wet underneath that deck if you don't do other measures. So it's not like you just put concrete under the deck and you're dry. There's more steps that need to be taken. So, and that's in line with the state stormwater, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Good point, David. Thank you. Any questions for Rob? Any more questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go back into regular session, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Jeff, second. Second by David, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, council, we're back in regular session. What would you like to do with this matter?
I'd like a discussion. I agree. I had a little bit of problem. I called Rob about the open slated deck, and then the more I get to thinking about it, as David stated, it would take more than you'd have to go put something underneath, some corrugated to run it off. It's more than just going under there. So that was my only concern. I also checked with the artificial turf, and so once again, it's going to be laid on a surface that it's 100% permeable, and so I don't see any conflict there. And so I don't personally, I think, I just wanted to agree that, like David, I think David's right, that was my only concern was the slatted decks, and you pretty much nailed it what I was thinking. There's a lot more to it than just closing it off. So.
Thank you, Jeff. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion. As presented.
I move to approve the proposed text amendments related to the lot coverage and permeable pavement, section 42-1, and sections 42-247, 248, 249, 250, 251, 252, 273, 274, 275, 276, 277, and 446. Town Council has found this proposal to be consistent with the town's adopted land use plan.
Thank you, Charlotte. Second?
Second.
Second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Council. All right, Council, we're back to accessory dwelling unit that was tabled from the last meeting. It was tabled because Rob was going to try to find out some more information for us, and so was Casey. That's the reason we tabled it, so we could get more information before we voted tonight. And keep in mind, I've already heard the words, Donna, we're talking about ADUs and not short-term rentals, right? Okay.
Rob, do you want to? Either way, I did. Most of Rob's research is right in line with the legal anyway, and I've looked at it and concur with it, but I'll certainly jump in to the extent, Rob, you need or want me to.
So yeah, there's a couple of things that council asked staff and Casey to look into. As you've seen the staff report, one of them dealt with how many ADUs have been permitted in the VR1 district. Since 2018, when the accessory dwelling unit language got adopted, there have been 8 permits issued for ADUs in VR1. Now, there have been, since that first language was adopted, there was additional changes to it, and now the definition includes kind of any separate living space is considered an ADU. So there are several that were, I guess, probably built before we had the ADU language in place. Things that, at the time could have been just a room over a detached garage, and now it falls under the ADU definition. So it's not saying there's only 8 out there currently. Let's see. Looking at the number of impacted properties by the proposed text amendment, I went through Airbnb, VRBO, and 6 of the major vacation rental agencies in the area. Just looking at, I can't guarantee that I found all of them, but as best as I could tell, I was able to find 6 additional accessory dwelling units that are being used as short-term rentals in the BR1. However, according to Dare County tax records, the owners of those 6 are, it's their full-time residents as well. So they would be compliant with the proposed amendment. Then the big one that came up the last meeting was the 12-month window compliance, the amortization. I think we talked about last month that Chapel Hills ordinance does have that in it as related to short-term rentals. I don't believe that ordinance has been resolved in its second go-around in court yet. I also found the town of Highlands had been considering a similar amortization of short-term rentals. They had documents in the staff report. They've received some letters letting them know that if they adopted that, they'd be in court pretty quick. And on July 22nd, the Highland Planning Board voted unanimously against the amortization rule.
Meaning requiring compliance, Rob?
Right.
Within a certain amount of time?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, they voted against that. I believe there was some public comment that referred to Senate Bill 677 during the last public comment last month. I've attached that into the language or into your staff report. You can see there's pretty big restrictions on what towns would be allowed to do as related to short-term rentals. As I understand it, that bill is probably not coming back in that same form or fashion, but there likely will be something coming back this year that will address it in another manner.
And Rob, just for the record on that, it's 667, I think.
667?
Yeah, so just for the record, 667.
Right. Yes, 667.
Okay. But that is the same bill attached to your report, and it says 667, so.
So that's what I've got for you from last month. I don't know if Casey had anything additional.
The only thing I will add is you guys heard me preach last time about liability and things that we do and decisions, well, not we, but as a town but that you as council members make. And not too long ago, it became, in the event an ordinance that we draft gets attacked in court and they're challenging the validity of that ordinance, it's now statutory law, not case law, something that's embedded in black letter at this point. The word shall award attorney fees to a successful litigant that attacks an ordinance that we have that's very clear in what it is seeking to regulate, and that clear regulation is then found to be invalid by a court of law. The court must award some level of attorney's fees. Now, Rob has attached here to you the Schroeder case that I referenced also, which was down in Wilmington. It was versus the city of Wilmington, and in that particular case, the court used its discretion to award only 80% of the attorney's fees, but that was still $305,000. So it's a lot of money, and that became a judgment against the town that the town was then indebted to pay back. So there are repercussions, and that again has just been my position on thinking carefully in terms of what we're going to require.
Thank you, Casey. Council, as you recall, I think everyone up here had a problem with the 12-month period, so.
Are we still in?
No, so now y'all just talk
Yeah,
amongst
we go now?
yourselves. That's
Okay.
right. Yep.
Okay.
So if we decide to approve, we could approve without that. We could deny the whole thing together. I really haven't heard anything from Casey or Rob tonight that changed my opinion during public hearing. Have y'all? Excuse me, regular session.
I believe there's even a letter inserted into the packet.
It is.
So,
Y'all mind if I speak?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had a problem with the 12-month right away. A lot of people have worked hard on this text amendment. The applicant, Rob and his staff. We've had since our last meeting in July to think about this. It's been tabled to get more information. I have been thinking about it constantly. I was thinking about it on the way to the meeting tonight. I still wasn't sure. But I've got a feeling, I just don't think this is right. I just think it's being done for the wrong reason. And for that reason, I may be the only one. For that reason, I cannot support this text amendment tonight.
Casey, is your legal opinion that if we were to implement a policy of 12 months, we would set ourselves up for a lawsuit?
Yes, I mean, I'll say it another way. There is nothing out there, there's nothing that Rob or I have found that says we would be safe and not vulnerable from such an attack. And that's where I have to come from in these type situations. If I don't have anything out there that says this is legal, but yet I see many other jurisdictions not allowing for amortization or not allowing for grandfathering, I must say that, yeah, we're subject to an attack there until I see otherwise within our court system. And that's not something that I've come across, not something I've seen.
Thank you.
Casey, can I move forward with the proposed text amendment with the removing of subsection I?
Rob, help me out on that just to make sure I'm correct. Would the applicant need to approve that at that point? In other words, it would either be, do you accept that and then they move forward with vote, or if you don't accept it, then we're going to deny. Do you get what I'm driving at? I don't think so either, but I just wanted to be clear. So yes, to answer your question.
So if would I need to ask, or should I just, would it be?
If that's your whim, if that's the way you want to move, Councilman Pruitt, I think you are fine to do that, striking it. I don't think there needs to be any discussion or request.
And legally, with us asking that one of the residents, if there is an ADU, one of them be occupied full-time, meaning 31 days consecutively, you find that to be so that we're okay in doing that?
From the long-term tenant perspective, yes. I don't like the fact that the word owner is in there, frankly. However, there is an exception. It's owner or. So yes. I think we're okay given the or.
Okay, yes. And to be clear, he can rent it out to anybody. He can live in New York.
That's correct.
And still, as long as it's rented to somebody for more than 31 days.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So that both properties aren't being rented short-term at the same time. I think that's kind of somewhat of the intent of this ordinance in the beginning. We're kind of hung up on the grandfathering, or however we want to put it. But this is a great start. This was a start. And this is, if we table it or we go forward and deny it, we're back at square one.
And all I would point out to all council is that there is no, per se, there's no explicit regulation on short-term rental. What you guys ultimately are voting on is the regulation of ADUs. So correct. I just wanted to point that out, so that way we're not, again, back down the path thinking that now all short-term rentals are somehow capable of being regulated or something of that nature. That's not what this creates.
All we're saying is, in order to do this, somebody needs to be long-term if there is multiple dwellings on.
In the case of an accessory dwelling.
Only.
Yes, sir.
And that's one thing need to be clear. I think people are confusing this with all of Kitty Hawk. This is only, all we're talking about is VR1.
Yes, sir.
Not BR1 or any other zone. So, I mean, I know we got more discussion, but anybody else?
Good point. Shaw?
I just can't in good conscience not grandfather this person. He came to this town, he was given permits, he was given the information he was given, he did what he was asked to do. And I know I have really struggled with this myself, and I would feel really badly if I were in that position. I'm not sure where the actual problem came from. It may have been a long time ago when this whole thing first started, and we didn't get it right then. But it was in the works when I got here, and I just can't go back on that man's grandfather. I just can't.
Thank you, Sean. Dylan?
Casey, just clarification. I know you said this, but I just want to make sure. By removing the part about 12 months, that does not put the town at the same risk that you were mentioned, that you had large concerns about? Is that correct?
No. I mean, there are other instances out there where these type ordinances have been passed and have not yet been attacked and have been applied by the municipalities. My concern was that part of the ordinance attack in Chapel Hill was with the requirement of the grandfathering. So that's where, and watching other local governments adopt similar text, but at the same time not requiring grandfathering, for example, and not just Highlands. There were several others that had already been adopted by those local governments.
If we remove that part of this text amendment, and does that...
We have a much more viable ordinance, I would say, absolutely.
That default to those properties that are currently doing it, default to grandfathering?
Correct. Correct.
But then we go forward with...
But moving forward, when applications come in for ADUs,
Right.
those, because again, that's what we're talking about here,
It's
multiple
not
dwellings.
against ADUs.
Correct. So that's when they would apply, moving forward, this regulation.
Is this legislation that's Mr. Garrity talked about at the last meeting, is that going to make this all a moot point?
If it gets passed in substantial form, meaning as it's currently written, and I'll read some items for you. No city may, it's in your packet, of course, but no city may adopt or enforce an ordinance, rule, or regulation that does any of the following. Number one is prohibits the use of residential property as a short-term rental. But just in case there's any lack of clarity there, they go with B, which is prohibits the use of accessory dwelling units as short-term rentals. So that right there says our ordinance would immediately become invalid and unenforceable. So we move to try to enforce what we're currently considering passing. If it gets passed, then yes, any restriction on short-term rental use as an accessory dwelling unit or on a residential property would be void. So yes, I do see impacts if that's what you're asking, Council.
Meaning that us requiring somebody to live long-term, we wouldn't be able to regulate. Both of them could be short-term under what you're reading.
And my reasoning for saying that is because they actually specify residential property and then even accessory dwelling unit. And when you read further in, you've got requires the owner of a short-term rental. You can't, in other words, require the owner of a short-term rental to occupy the property. It doesn't specify between the two. ADU versus primary, it's talking about the property as a whole. So yes, in reading the way it's currently written, if it gets adopted in substantial form, then I think there would be issues. Here, it also clarifies that short-term rentals are not commercial uses. It puts that statute, which is what we talked about a lot last time, whether short-term rentals were commercial uses. And again, and Ms. Creef spoke to it and I spoke to it, and this would, I don't believe it is under the law. I don't believe it's a business. I don't believe it's commercial use. And this would act to solidify that, certainly in black letter.
And to add further to that, in my opinion, everything in life's about intent. This bill is clear, the intent of this bill is clear, what they're saying in these first 6 items highlighted in your packet. I don't think it can be.
No, that becomes very important from an interpretation standpoint by the courts. It's the plain letter and plain meaning of the statute itself that governs. So I agree, there is no ambiguity in that particular proposed bill.
Dylan, did that answer your question?
It did. Yes, sir.
Got anything else?
I do not.
David? Any further discussion, council? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve text amendment in section 42-1 and 42-528 relating to ADUs, removing subsection I. Subsection I, properties located in the VR1 zoning district with an accessory dwelling unit as of adopted date and having no long-term residence or owner on the subject property shall have a period of 12 months period to finalize conversion and compliance. Within the VR1 zoning district as presented in the staff report, Town Council has found the proposed to be consistent with the town adopted land use plan.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you read that to strike the 12-month requirement?
Yes, I did.
In its entirety?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
To remove all of subsection I.
Got it.
Thank you, Jeff. You gonna get a second?
Second.
Second by David. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That'll be a nay for me. Motion carries 4-1. Thank you, council. All right, item 10A. Liliana, you're up.
Good evening, Council. Tonight, I know that's amended. Okay, tonight I'm going to present the preliminary financial statements for the fiscal year that's ending on June 2024. And it's a preliminary statement because we have not closed the fiscal year. The fiscal year is officially closed once we do the audit, which is scheduled to do in September. One big portion of that is because there are some revenues that have not been received yet. They would be arriving in the second week in August. But I'm going to give you an overview of these financial statements. So the first portions of our revenues are the property taxes. We have 100% collection. All the revenues for that property taxes has been collected for June. The second part, which is tax others, is the taxes that have not been collected for June. We will receive these collections in 2 weeks. The third portion of that one's the permits and fees. Everything has been collected. Intergovernmental is grants, basically. We already have received all of them. Fines and forfeitures, everything has been posted. In the second page of this, I'm going to stop briefly here at interest earnings. As you can see here, this year we have a lot of interest earnings as a result of the high interest rates that we have this fiscal year, similar to the last fiscal year. The Federal Reserve has not decreased its interest and have projected the same rates up to December. What happened after that is unknown. So we have collected $661,000 in interest for this fiscal year. We used some of these funds for 2 projects this year. If you can recall, for the key access for all the business, the security system, we did a budget for that. and also to purchase the sweeper for Willie, one of the equipment. The sweeper attachment. The other revenues, I'm gonna point out here, rents. You see the higher collection there. It's a result for Beach Medical moving into the building and taking another suite in November. They moved in September and they took an additional suite. In the expenditure side, by departments, every single department stayed within the budget. And so far, our revenues are higher than expenditures. Again, this is a preliminary. There's still some invoices that we have not processed yet because they take 1 or 2 months to arrive, as well as some entries that we do when we do the audit. But overall, it looks like a good closing fiscal year. This is the general fund meeting the operational fund. The second fund is the beach nourishment. This project is close. The construction happened between June 22 and May 23. The project design focused on reestablishing the initial design template and placing advanced fill to account for background erosion and diffusion losses. Overall, the project was successful in reducing storm damage, reducing flood damage, and establishing a wider recreational beach. The final as-built volume was 871,400 cubic yards. Before we started construction for this project, in the year 2021, we transferred some money from the Beach Nourishment Reserve to start the design process. Once the project is complete, this money is back to the reserve for the beach nourishment. The last fund that we have is the remodeled building for the police department. Currently, we have $3,823,747 to start the project, the construction. Before I move to the next item, do you have any questions?
Any questions for Liliana?
A more detailed financial report will be provided to the council after the audit. This is estimated meeting in October, I believe. Future police station. Before I move here, I'm going to provide a little information. As you see, it's the most recent picture. Construction started a month ago. This building was Centara building, and in 2017, Centara announced that they were moving. This is an article from the Other Banks Boys. Centara announced in October that the condition of the building factored into the decision to cease operation at that facility. Extensive renovation will be needed to keep it open. Centara Kitty Hawk has undergone several building repairs in recent years, quote, the company said in October. However, despite these repairs, the issues remain ongoing. So Centara moved out in December 2017. The town of Kitty Hawk bought the property in 2022. And it was abandoned for 5 years. Tonight, we are presenting this project with a current budget at $8,480,307. The revenues for this project are coming from general fund, capital reserve, interfund transfers. The expenditures are listed, and the items in blue are the ones that we already have paid. One of those is the land and building purchase was $4,107,000. Some repairs that were done when we acquired the building itself, inspections. And from the construction management, we still on pay $92,000. The design costs $49,872. Tonight, we're going to talk about contingency. It's a definition. Contingency is a construction money that we put aside to cover any unexpected costs that can arise during a construction project. Risk management is a name that's commonly used in construction, and including a construction contingency in a budget is the first step to protect yourself against unforeseen risk. Currently, the town budget for the building remodeling does not have any contingency. Today, we are proposing a budget amendment.
Sorry.
Today, we're proposing a budget amendment for what we call owner contingency, meaning the town contingency. Establishing a contingency is a construction best practice. Deciding the amount of contingency is always a balancing act. It is important to have always enough funds available for any unforeseen costs, risks, events, or changes in the scope that might affect the project and causing delays. Just to remind you, this is an old building. It was abandoned for 5 years. We need to keep this project going. The most common practice in established contingency in construction is between 5 to 10% of the total budget. For tonight, we are requesting the council to approve 6% of the construction contract, which is $212,400. In addition, authorization to the town manager to approve any change orders or amended to the construction contract in the amounts up to $50,000 using the contingency funds. Anything above that has to be brought to council for approval. What are the benefits? Manage the risk and ensure that the funds, we have the funds to respond for any unexpected challenges and keep the project on a schedule and within the budget. So we are presenting today to the council for approval, budget amended for $212,400 to establish a contingency and authorization for the town manager to approve any change orders or to the construction up to $50,000 using this contingency funds. You have any questions, sir?
Any questions for Liliana, folks?
A couple comments. We knew the condition of the building when we purchased it.
Correct.
I was pretty heavily involved in that, actually, so I'm aware as well. And I do agree that there needs to be a contingency in place for the construction. And I get the 6% contingency plan based on price and whatnot. I think 50,000 is kind of high, though, on a change order without it being presented. Not that I don't believe in a town manager's ability to do something, but that's a lot of money. And if we're going to keep it at 50,000 that can be changed without council approval, then I think somebody like David Lewis needs to be involved in that, which I'm not saying he wouldn't be. That's just a lot of money to be unilaterally approved. It's just more of a comment. And I'll stand for any other further comments.
I too, when I first talked to Craig about this, I would like to see the building inspector, when somebody comes to say we need it, I would like to see a professional working with the town, like as our building inspector, to also sign off and say, I don't have a problem with 50,000, but I would like a second opinion from, when they say this doesn't meet code, rather than her say, oh, fix it. I'd like for David to or whoever our building inspector is, to oversee the request of the contingency. If that's, it just seems like.
Gentlemen, do we have a construction management company, DILS?
I understand.
So when the contractor present the change order, it's reviewed by the designers, the construction manager, and the construction manager present to the town manager. So there's a filter there. just for clarification. In consideration with the 50,000, that's the normal, I reached my college in Dare County, Kildare Hills, Dare County, that's the amount that they have for authorization for the town manager. That's what.
Right, I don't have a problem with the $50,000, okay? I want somebody else to have a check and balance on this situation. I understand Deals is a construction management company, okay? But I'm with Jeff. I feel like somebody else that represents Kitty Hawk directly, not by contract, should be involved in approving that change order. That's all I'm saying. So
When this matter came up, we've all talked about this. I talked to mayors, I talked to town managers, and they all agreed. You and I had the same discussion, David. We wouldn't dare go into a project this big without a contingency.
Right.
$50,000 to me, from what I find, it is in line to 6%. I get what both of you are saying. The only way around that is to call a special council meeting every time we have to prove something. Now, that's not the way it's supposed to be done.
Or have Dave Lewis involved.
We've got a very competent town manager sitting there who can make those decisions without us. If there's something she's not sure about, she can contact David Lewis.
And I will just add, I'm fine either way y'all decide. I am not going to make these decisions by myself.
Well, and I was going
to, you not like some backup?
I have backup.
But
I have David, I have Willie,
Right.
I have Dills, I have lots of backup.
But
I
it
have
looks
the
like to
chief.
me that would be when we went, did you really spend $8?
No, and I clarify over comment because we have an audience at home. So just to make clear what the numbers, where the 50,000 comes from, or where those things come from. So when you make a comment, I clarify just for our audience at home. I don't have any. I mean, this is a decision if the building inspector will have to.
There is some rule about the building inspector inspecting work that he's been involved in, and I could check that.
That he's
because
not supposed to.
Yeah, I've talked to him a little bit about it.
But a change order is separate from that, is it not?
Yes, and like I said, I'm fine with any way you want
What's
to
your
go.
opinion? Contract law?
I think, honestly, I believe it's implicit that the town staff is going to partake in Melody's decisions. I don't know about the builder inspector rule thing, which David probably knows. Of course he does. Knows a ton more than I do. I could look at that, but I don't. I believe that something along the lines of town manager with appropriate town staff input. So I see that sometimes in ordinances. I mean, something like that.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all. And look, nobody wants to see this police department built more than I do.
Sure.
I'm
Oh,
invested in it from day one.
Absolutely.
So Mr. Hines and Mr. Pruitt, if I hear correctly, what you're suggesting is the dues change order should be reviewed, or the building inspector have an opinion?
Just what
part of the
Casey said,
process.
town manager and appropriate staff.
And appropriate
Yeah.
staff.
And
Because
appropriate- oh, okay, gotcha.
there could be a scenario where it is a Willie
Yeah.
question, for
Yeah, right.
example. So.
Oh, yeah. We've already had questions. I mean, no change orders.
And I want to be clear that I know you're competent in handling all this, but it's not your thing, right? It's commercial construction.
Oh, that's why I
So-
say, I'm not doing this in my own little bubble.
Right.
I mean, I know plenty of general contractors that don't mess with commercial. I mean, it's a different animal, so that's all I'm saying.
And I will add, Liliana needs a decision tonight.
That's fine.
Yes, sir.
Demolition is well underway inside that building, and she needs a decision tonight. She should have had it last month, but we put it off to tonight.
Yeah.
Is this something you have to make a motion? If it is, I'll be glad to make a motion for the contingency budget of whatever it is here.
There is
212
$212,400. Town manager's authorized to change order and amend to the construction contract to the amount of up to $50,000 using the project contingency fund with
Input from the appropriate staff officials.
appropriate staff.
Very good. That's your motion.
That's my motion. I'm sticking with it.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, we are learning in this project. We were on the site today. It was very exciting to see just all the walls have been knocked out. And I'm like, wow. It's just different. This is new for me, and I'm really learning as much. So I really appreciate it. That's why I'm asking clarifications so we don't get lost in the language. But thank you very much.
All right, we got to vote on it first.
I think we need a second as well.
We got a motion.
I second it.
Oh, David did second.
David
Okay.
second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Liliana. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you, council. Okay, the item that we added, item 10C. Mr. Wheeler, you might as well come on up here. We've got a resolution that came in that Wheeler's going to ask for a motion for from this council regarding construction of a boardwalk bridge. Willie?
Start with my apologies for coming at the late minute with this. While doing the application, I discovered that my dates were not as accurate as I thought they were. What this is a resolution seeking council support for a grant application through a Great Trails State Program from the North Carolina Department of Parks and Rec. This grant is for putting in a boardwalk / bridge from Sandy Run Park over to the Birchling Trail. It's approximately 400 foot of bridgeway, and our current estimate is probably around $406,000. The grant will be for $300,000, and we will have a match of $150,000 should we proceed. And that's it in a nutshell.
Anytime we get a grant, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that much.
And we do have $174,000 in the capital reserve fund for parks and recreation. So we could cover that from the capital reserve.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for Willie, folks? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to support the proposed resolution of a Great State Trails Grant to construct a boardwalk from Sandy Run Park to the Birch Lane Trail. Town Council has found the resolution to be consistent with the town's adopted land use plan.
Thank you, Jeff. Second?
Second.
Second by David. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Willie.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will.
You did a good job, Willie. All right, item 11, reports from Time Manager. Melody?
Well, as Liliana said, we had our second construction meeting today at the site, and demolition of the interior has been completed. And it looks like a whole different place in there. It's amazing. Conditions permitting, meaning the weather, they expect to pour the footers for the new square footage next week. They're also planning to demo the exterior wall veneer and remove concrete for plumbing. The project continues to be on schedule. We have received several complaints about damage being caused by nutria. I have reached out to the Federal Wildlife Services, and they are coming to meet with us next week and tour the damaged areas. They evidently have an executive order where they can take some action and come up with a plan and help in that area. So I guess if someone has experienced damage from a nutria, they need to let us know.
And when is this?
We think that we're coming on Wednesday, but we decided not to do that.
Okay.
Probably next Wednesday, but I'll let you know for
Yeah,
sure.
I would like to know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to know about it.
Okay, great. National Night Out, which was scheduled for tomorrow evening, has been canceled due to the pending inclement weather. I have two town hall closures to talk about. Next Monday, August 12th, at Town Hall will be closing at 4 p.m., just 1 hour early. Dominion Power will be placing the meter base and 2 exterior breaker boxes due to corrosion. So everything has to be dead and all computers off and power and AC and everything. So we will just be leaving early that day. On Friday the 16th, the floors in the hallway out here in the front lobby are going to be refinished as part of our front office restoration. We will be relocating that day, I think, to the fire station. We will be able to answer the town hall phones remotely, and we're planning kind of a field day for staff to do some ride-alongs, tour with Ocean Rescue. Also on the 16th, between 1 and 3, we're going to invite the community to join us for Watermelon in Sandy Run Park. So we'll have a community activity that day as well. That's all I have.
Great stuff, Melody, thank you. Great stuff. Casey?
I have none, other than the Nutria are not known for their looks. I don't know if you've ever seen them. God almighty, I see them on the golf course all the time. Oh, Lord, they're not pretty.
Town Council, Short?
Yes, the Town Recreation Committee met on Tuesday, July 30th. Also, Lewis has been appointed as the new staff liaison. She did a wonderful job organizing and keeping the meeting on track. The committee reviewed their 2024-25 budget and approved the 2024-25 master plan without any changes. A special meeting is set up for August 27th at 6 o'clock. The purpose of this meeting is to review a presentation that they plan to give to Town Hall on our September 9th council meeting. They'll also present data from their survey that was done for the trail. Lauren Garrett, our new town clerk, she was present and offered a lot of good support for that committee, and I appreciate that. That will help promote our activities here. I would like to recognize a member of the planning board that will be leaving our area, and Dr. Craig Merrill has been proven quite an asset to our town. He investigated and planning board agenda issues before each meeting and came prepared to offer ideas. Also was very helpful and knowledgeable with respect to grants, and served on the community advisory board with Chief Palkovics. He has also been someone I could call on as I needed a little more information. It has been my pleasure to serve with him and to consider him my friend. He will be missed, and the town wishes him well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sean. Yeah.
Well, I received a couple of calls this weekend. I usually don't get that many, but I did. And it was in reference to the traffic on the Woods Road, which, once again, we, as town council, it's really out of our hands. But I do understand that the people are having a tremendous amount of trouble getting out of their residence on the Woods Road. But it is, it is a state road. And they had just asked it if there was any way to, maybe there's a way to relieve it at the traffic light, maybe in more conjunction to relieve it, or to maybe put a sign that says locals only or whatever, which probably won't do any good. But I just wanted I said I'd bring it to council's attention that, there is some concerns about safety and stuff on the Woods Road. That's all I have.
I agree. I got stuck on the Woods Road. Thought I was being a smart decision. But you can't restrict traffic on.
No, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about it. But I mean, I just wanted to.
It's 3 or 4 months out of the year, and I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know anything we can do.
No, I don't either.
We need a sign like they have at Disney World that says, if you are here, it's an hour and 10 minutes until you get on the ride. Because they were much longer by taking that road than they would have been had they gone through.
Southern Shores deals with the same situation every Saturday and Sunday. But
I feel their pain, but I mean,
felt it too,
I'm just not sure what this town council can do. But
I felt the pain too. I really do. Dylan?
I just want to welcome Amy for the police department. And I did not know Craig was leaving. Craig will be very missed from the planning board.
Very sad.
I appreciate his time and service on the planning board. And just want to thank all the staff for keeping things running smoothly during this busy summer season. So you guys are doing a great job. That's all I have.
I have no comment. Thank you.
Again, all the staff, God, we're in August already, I can't believe it. The summer will soon be over, and those people that live on Wood Road, I feel for them, I really do. But
I think it's a fire and safety issue as well. It's just terrible.
well, it happens every weekend.
I know,
And it
but
has for years.
I didn't experience it till last weekend, so.
And thank all our committees. I had a chance to see Dare County EMS, but I had a chance to see our fire department, police department in action this morning. Great job, fast response, and I want to thank them for what they did. The front lobby, if you haven't had a chance to look, it's beautiful, and it's going to be real beautiful when it's over. It's a great addition, great change. Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Motion made by Jeff, second.
Second.
Thanks, Charlotte. We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.